Alright, New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, Subchapter 9, Disclosure, Use of Confidential Information. Disclosure of confidential information on other public agency to other public agency. The department may disclose confidential information to any other state agency or to a federal agency if the department received the written request for the disclosure of information from the duly authorized officer of an employee with the requesting agency. The department notifies the other agency with any depending of the confirmation confidential claim of the concerning of the requested information and confidential determination regarding the requested information. Other agency have furnished in the department written opinion for the agency chief legal officer with the consulting state under the applicable laws of the agency has the authority to compel the person to submit the information to the department or allow the department to obtain such information, scope such information to the requesting agency. The other agencies adopt that regulations operate under state authority will apply allowed to preserve confidential information for the unauthorized disclosure of the degree of the written and refrain from disclosure of the safeguard information in accordance with the requirements of the New Jersey Administration Code 78010.1 and 10.2, unless the requesting agency has the authority to both compel the production of the information or disclose it. Claimant has consented with the disclosure of the information by requesting agency. The requesting agency agrees not to disclose information further unless the requesting agency with the statutory authority both compel the production of the information or make the proposed disclosure. The claimant consented with the disclosure of the information by requesting agency. The disclosure of the confidential information to the contractor. The department may disclose the confidential information to the contractor complying with the procedure that established under B of the below. If the department determines that such disclosure is necessary, then orders for the contractor to perform the work required of the contract by contract. The contractor provides the contractor for the contractor employees use the confidential information. Only proof of the performance of the duties required for the contract shall refrain from disclosing confidential information. Anyone other than the department should store all the records contained with the confidential information in the locked cabinets in the secure rooms. Shall return to the department all copies of the information, any abstract with the extract from or any records containing any other confidential information. When the confidential information is no longer necessary to enable the contractor to perform obligations under the contract, any type of upon the request of the department. If the claimant is so required, the contractors reclaiming it to refrain from the further disclosure of confidential information. Before disclosing confidential information with the contractor under A above, the department shall notify the claimant and propose the disclosure writing the delivery of the certified mail shall return the request at least 14 days before making the disclosure of the notice shall the date of the information will provide identified by the contractor scheduled date. Disclosure at least 3 working days before the scheduled date with the disclosure of the claimant and delivery of the department and information sufficient to establish the proposed disclosure will likely cause substantial damage either to the claimant and competitive with the competition for the national security of the department shall refrain from the making the disclosure. Alright, 9.3. Disclosure alleviate the laminate with a substantial danger for the department. 5. With the disclosure of the confidential information will serve to alleviate with the imminent substantial for the day of the public health, safety, and the environment. The department may, with the discretion, take one or more of the following actions, whose time allowed to provide substantiation pursuant to the New Jersey Administration Code 7.1E or notify the claimant of such reduction and void in advance for the day of the department may disclose information with the department to determine with the confidential information to the New Jersey Administration Code 7.1E 5A notify the claimant in such advance. Immediately disclose the confidential information any of the person who role with alleviating the danger of the public health of the environmental makes such for the disclosure necessary of the disclosure presumably the paragraph shall be limited to the information necessary to enable the person who is the close of the material of the activity to alleviate danger. Any disclosure made pursuant to this paragraph shall not be deemed waived for the confidential claim shall not be grounds for any determination information no longer confidential information. Alright, E94, notice for the claimant that disclosure of confidential information promptly of the department disclosure of the confidential information presumed in the non-administrative code 919293. The department shall notify any of the claimant that department obtained with the confidential information with the disclosure shall notice for the shall be written shall contain the following information: date on which disclosure the was made, the name of the agency, any other person with the department disclosure of the confidential information, description of confidential information, disclosure of the consent. The department may disclose the confidential information in accordance with the written consent of the claimant. The claimant consent with a particular disclosure shall not operate with a waiver of the confidential claim with regard to the further disclosure unless the authorized disclosure such name of the disclosed information is no longer confidential information. Incorporation of confidential information into accumulations of the data. Nothing in the chapter should construe with the prohibiting the incorporation of the confidential information accumulation of the data subject to disclosure. Public record to provide after the consultation with the claimant department head determines if the disclosure is not in the form of the foreseeable allowable to the person with no otherwise having knowledge having such confidential information reduced. It deduces it from the confidential information identified by the person who the supply of the department. Disclosure of confidential information rulemaking, permitting and enforcing procedures. Notwithstanding any of the provisions subject of the department may disclose confidential information rulemaking, permitting and enforcement proceedings. Following procedures shall apply with the disclosure of the confidential information. The department of rulemaking, permitting and enforcing procedures. The department may disclose confidential information injunction here subject of the procedure protection, making the information unavailable to public, which administrative law judge may impose on the Uniform Administrative Procedure Code of the New Jersey Administration Code 11, including limitation New Jersey Code 11.14.1. Department may disclose confidential information enforcement act permitting rule-making procedure that does not involve the injunctionary hearing. Pursuing the following procedure, the department shall conform with this claimant. The department consider the use of the information contention for the proceedings shall inform with the claimant a reasonable period of the comment. Claimant shall submit the comment with the department within time allotted pursuant to the B2.1 above concerning the proposed use of the confidential information, including comments which may support the determination of the confidential information is not relevant to proceeding with the disclosure of the confidential information proceeding does not necessarily serve the public interest. The department may disclose the confidential information of the proceeding upon the consideration comments submitted as pursuant to the B2 above. The department determine the information relevant to the subject proceeding. If the information proceeding will serve the public interest, the materially impair the serve the public interest, and limited use of the information managed to preserve it in confidentiality. The department shall give the affected person at least 5 days notice prior to the using information proceeding in the manner which may result in the information being made available to the public. Alright, 9.8. Hearing before disclosure information with a confidential claim has been made. A claimant may request the junctionary hearing with the content disclosure information with a confidential claim has been made with any time to further disclosure. The request shall be in accordance with the Department of New Jersey Administration Code 71E64B and shall be delivered to the Department as follows. The Department of Environmental Affairs, Office of Legal Affairs, Attention, Injunction Hearing Request, Division Discharge Prevention, Contaminant Countermeasure Confidentiality, 401 East State Drive, 11th floor, P.O. Box 402, mail code 401041, Trenton, New Jersey 086250402. The department may not request the junctionary hearing under the A above. The claimant fails to provide all information required by the New Jersey Administration Code 71E64A. The department received the request after the disclosure serve the confidential information. Curve of the department has ordered the disclosure of the information core of the competent of the jurisdiction by any other person that neither the power of the authority of the compelled the disclosure of the department to determine the disclosure necessary to alleviate imminent danger of the environmental, public health, and safety provided by the New Jersey Administration Code 7193. All junctionary hearings shall be conducted in accordance with the Administrative Procedure Act and New Jersey State Authority 5214B1 attend sequence and Uniform Administrative Procedure Rules of New Jersey Administration Code 11. At the junctionary hearing, the respondent shall have the burden showing the proposed disclosure and not in accordance with the New Jersey Administration Code 71E. Pending on the completion of the junctionary hearing, the department will refrain from disclosing asserted confidential information unless the department has ordered to disclose information by a court of the competent jurisdiction by any other person in need of the power of the authority to compel the disclosure. The department determines the disclosure necessary to alleviate imminent danger of the environmental, public health, and safety. Subchapter 10, Treatment of Confidential Information.